Welcome to Women at the Top, where we share professional journeys to inspire yours.
Hello, I'm your host, Max Zhang, founder of Human Prosperity. Today, I'm excited to have Elliott on the show. Elliott, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Elliott Stafford, and I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for having me, Max.
Awesome. Yeah, it's super excited to finally meet you and having you on the show to share your journey. So can you tell us a little bit about what you do?
Yeah, so I started being a content creator around 2022, and then I kind of dove into what you would now see as UGC, which is like user-generated content. I did that for about 4.5, 5 years, and now this year I just launched LUXE, which is my marketing agency. So I will be doing UGC and like more full-blown marketing. But yeah, I guess I just leverage short-form videos to increase a company's revenue and sales, whether that be through paid media or organic content.
Oh, that's awesome. And some people might not know about what is UGC. Can you kind of explain that to people that might not know?
Yeah, UGC is kind of a form of content creation that differs from influencing or just like normal personal brand work. UGC is an ad that you give to a brand to use on, their Meta or their Google ads, their TikTok ads, whatever they want to use it for. They can even use it in their website, but the goal is for the piece of content to be organic and to not come across as an ad, which I think a lot of people miss. A lot of people make it like a little mini commercial and make it super adsy, which sometimes can defeat the purpose of the point of UGC, which is for it to come off like a normal consumer that's utilizing the service or product.
Yeah, I think it's that personal touch that really connects with the consumers. So what is your secret formula to creating good UGC?
Oh, that's such a good question. I feel like for me, it's a lot of the prep work, which a lot of, again, UGC creators can miss at times, but it's like, I have an onboarding sheet for many of my clients, which I think is a step that many creators don't think to have in UGC because it's kind of a hustle, right? Like you're getting clients in the door and then you're signing contracts and then you have all of a sudden, 25 due dates for 35 pieces of content. And it kind of is a lot of send in the deliverables as fast as you can and get paid. But I like to really structure my work as a UGC creator a lot slower. And I like to take time with the client and take time, learning about their product, their service, their competitors, things they've tried, things they haven't tried. And that kind of is what my onboarding sheet goes through. I like to just go onto some of the softwares that you may know, like Magic Brief or Foreplay, and look at the other ads and the other niches that have performed well. And then I take it a step further. Instead of just like reiterating, copying those ads, I find iterations that I can do that are within the same psychology of those ads, but then I switch them up. And so I create new hypothesis for each ad angle, and then I kind of structure it on, okay, this is what we have tested based on this hypothesis, and this is what we need to test based on, the emotion of relatability or the emotion of scarcity or the emotion of like a quick fix, problem awareness, problem solution, and stuff like that. So I just take it a step further. So then we actually know what ad angles we're testing, and we can go and refer back to the sheet that I created to see, this is what has worked, this is what has not, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. It's so important to focus on the customer and the problem, and when you focus on the customer, that's when everyone wins. And that's how Amazon is so successful. So it's great that you're doing that.
Yeah, I think, if you don't have your customer, your client at the forefront of your mind, and you're not, really caring about the performance of their ads, you're losing before you even start. Because it's just like, they're not going to come back to you. They're not going to refer you to other clients. I don't know how many times I've had people refer me to other brands. And I think a lot of UGC creators don't think that's a real thing. And it completely is a real thing. Like, you just have to be good at what you do. And more than that, you have to show that you care about what you do. And that you're not just in it for the money. And for me, I'm definitely not. So I think that sets me apart from people already, which I'm like super grateful for, that I began to find a passion in my actual work. But
you say you're starting a new market agency. So tell us a bit more about that and how is it different from other market agencies?
I kind of have explained this in the past, and I'm like still kind of in this like curve with my marketing agency on what route I really want to take it. Originally, I wanted to do more creative sourcing. So I wanted to be, the talking point for brands to find creators, whether that be male, female, white, Hispanic, whatever they were looking for to be the face of their company. I would be able to source that through what I call, LUXE Creative Agency, which is creators that have been vetted and trained by me to perform at the highest point. Because I think a lot of brands get scared to hire on creators from just anywhere, because you really don't know how timely they're going to be, if their communication is going to be off, and at the end of the day, if they're even going to send you the deliverables. It's like contracts in the creative space are like, who cares? People literally do not even go back and look at them. They don't refer to them. But I wanted to be that space in the industry where people could, say, yeah, we got our creators from LUXE. We source all of our creators through LUXE, and it be like a Harvard of content creation. Because at the end of the day, that's what I want my agency to resemble, is just a really professional space where people have the most educated creators, the most educated people working for them. But then I started to kind of think, if I am going to vet these creators, I kind of need to spend a lot of time with these creators too. So maybe I should start it out as like an academy and start training my creators first, and then kind of create that flywheel of brands coming through the door later on. So yeah, and then also just the offer is different. I'm not going to be doing UGC. I'm not going to be doing just paid ads. We can offer paid ads, but it has to be in a package of more than like 2 videos. And then also on top of that, I'm going to be doing more high-end service-based companies. So those that actually have a sales process and could utilize a VSL or a thank you letter as well.
Oh, awesome. And yeah, you're doing amazing things. So what is the secret to your success?
I think just failing so many times and not letting it, halt me for too long. I think it's just human nature for us to try at something for a really long time until we realize like, oh, this is not for us. We need to move on to something else. But I think there is still space for us to realize effort still can move the needle, and it doesn't just get you nowhere. Failing forward is the only way for you to kind of pick up where you left off and try new things and do new things and meet new people and learn and all of those things. So I just think as many times as I have failed, I have also got back up and tried again. And I think that's just like really what it takes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. A lot of people, kind of start at failure when they see that as the final at the end, and that's it. Like, oh, the world is ending.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not, it is just a stepping stone to success. The more you fail, the more you can succeed. So what are some of the daily habits that allow you to achieve a high performance?
I would say that habits still to this day are something that I struggle with. Routines and habits, surprisingly. People always say that, oh, I go to your Instagram because your routines, you're always going to Pilates and you're always going to the gym. Yes, I was an athlete. So I think working out is kind of like my form of decompression. So it's not something that I normally miss. I always do some sort of exercise, but I have insomnia. So habits can start to get like a little wonky, just because my sleep really plays into, what time I'm waking up, and that's a habit, and what time I go to the gym, which that's a habit. I think if anything more than that, what has become a habit has had to be my nighttime routine. What time I get off my screens is super, super important for me. That is kind of what sets up my next day, especially as somebody who does have insomnia. I have to be really careful with how long I stay on my screen, because for me, that just wakes me up. So the longer I work at night, the harder it is for me to fall asleep. And so I try to shut down my brain with something that is not business related. And that just helps me go into the night sleeping and resting without having, those like business entrepreneurial spiral ideas come at you from every angle. And then you're laying in bed thinking about, the next podcast you're going to start. And it's like, if we can find a way to decompress our brains without it being entrepreneurial, I find that to be a very, very major habit for me. So I do read fictional books at night. I try to stay away from like anything in the self-help niche or like educational niche. I read specifically like fantasy, sci-fi, thriller books at night, like things that I like to enjoy. And then that also helps me get off my phone, reduce my screen time, and then just get tired. I would say that's one of my biggest habits. And then also just like tea at night. I'm a big fan of ashwagandha. I do a lot of like more, what's the word? Like holistic approaches to just my everyday life. And I think that's still a habit to me today. You know, like Celtic salt in the morning with lemon and just things that make you feel better throughout the day. Hydration, just all of those things. I know like I work on social media all day long. So people always find it funny that I'm like, yeah, get off your phone. But it's like, yeah, the more we can get off our screens, as hard as it can be, the better every single day is, I swear. So that's a major habit of mine.
Okay, that's awesome. And that's a lot of tips, and I think a lot of people will find that very useful. And definitely agree. The screen time, you definitely need to get stay away from that because I have been doing that so much to the point where I'm getting double cross eyes nowadays.
I know. And if it's like I already have not the best eyesight. I've worn glasses since I was in preschool. So I'm like, my mom used to make fun of me because I would try to read books at night when I was little without my glasses on, and I would close one of my eyes. So I would read like this. And she'd be like, okay, so we need to get you like glasses and you need to wear them full time. Like you can't keep taking off your glasses. But I've noticed the longer that I'm on my phone and screen, when I walk away, the blurrier my vision is. And I'm like, well, this definitely can be good for preschool, the girl who's had glasses since preschool and used to read with one eye. But yeah.
And I just recently found out that like the phones, like the iPhone, they actually has a screen distance setting. So you can actually set it on, turn it on, and then if you're too close to your eye, to your face, you actually tell you it's too close and you have to move your phone away. Like that's a game changer for me by finding that out just recently.
Yeah, that's such a good thing. I told my grandma and grandpa about that a while ago because it's like they were like, well, it's too far away for me to read. And I'm like, increase the font size and then it should be good.
Awesome. Yeah, in terms of books, I'm like all about self-help because like for me, it's more about like how do I improve myself. Of course, I do that also because I want to help my clients too. Because the more I know, the more I can help my clients. And I still want to kind of touch point on what you mentioned about your physical intelligence. Having a daily habit of the exercise and meditation and sleep is so important. Nowadays, so many people kind of forget about that physical dimension, and they end up with suboptimum mental and physical and emotional health. And and the thing is that our physical dimension supports all our other intelligences. And the key to that is having sleeping well and doing exercise and things like that. So for me, I actually have a formula that I actually teach my clients to sleep well every single night. And it's actually EMC cube. So it used to be EMC square. I kind of like that, but now it's actually I added extra C, but it's EMC3, EMC cube. So E for exercise. So important to exercise, 3 times a week. And then M for meditate. So you want to meditate every single day to kind of let you focus and then kind of let go of anything else that's not important and really improve your ability to relax and be mindful. So, and then this first C for consistent. You want to sleep at the same time, wake up at the same time. Consistency is so important to actually build the rhyme, the circadian rhyme. And the second C is to comfort. So making sure that your temperature is comfortable, your bed is comfortable, lighting is comfortable.
Yeah.
Is closure. So you want to make sure you close everything. So if you have some kind of running things you're thinking about, let it go, or simply write it down somewhere. Because during the sleep time, you don't want to let anything kind of come to your mind, distract you. So that's EMC cube. So I think you're already doing most of that, but
Oh no, I really think that breaking it down in that way makes it more digestible too for your brain. Just like having kind of, like you said, a formula going into it, because obviously these are all things that we know we need to do, but it's just the implementation that gets lost. And so I think that having a formula that you can refer back to like multiple times a day, you can say like, oh, I did do this and I did do this, but I missed M. So it's like, let me go back and like meditate for a while on my lunch break or something like that, and just kind of trying to remember those things in the day is like super helpful. And like you said, yeah, consistency. I think that is the most difficult part about having insomnia that I hate. Honestly, I think I talk about it on my social media all the time, where it's just like, if I did not have a hard time sleeping, my habits would be so much more consistent and I would feel like I was on fire all day long, but I don't always have that luxury. So yeah, it's just kind of doing the consistent things that you can, to like for anybody out there who may be struggling with like insomnia or something like that, like POTS or like another kind of form of autoimmune disease, like those things that kind of you can't always control. Being with consistent as you can with like healing yourself is also can kind of take place of like your consistency and routines. Like if you're constantly taking care of yourself, that's also like a form of consistency.
And that kind of segues to our next question, which is now what are some of the challenges that you kind of gone through and how you overcame it? So you kind of talk about insomnia. Perhaps you can talk about a little bit more about that and how you're managing that.
I think for a long time, I hit on this earlier, but I'm so holistic that I was against pharmaceuticals. And so I didn't like seek a doctor for this. It was more so something that I tried to control by myself. I don't know if anybody's heard of the medical medium or if you've heard of him, but I have all of his books. And so that's something I tried for a long time. But the thing with holistic health is, again, that consistency. It's not a Band-Aid. It's not a temporary fix. The goal for holistic health, and especially with the medical medium, is he heals you all through food. It's a very consistent thing that you have to do, is focusing on your nutrition and focusing on those things that can actually help you get better. And so I did that for a long time, but I did finally this year seek out a doctor who has helped me with like some pharmaceuticals. And it's been really hard for me to get into. So I think that is one of the struggles, is just feeling like it's okay to have kind of like an extra form of help that isn't just, you know, an orange or a sweet potato or a mango, and kind of letting myself like break through that that feeling just to get me to a place where I can be consistent and be more proud of myself, I guess, with the movement that I'm making. I think another struggle, of course, is like I am in Dallas, and so I'm all the way away from my hometown. My all my family lives in Wyoming, and so moving here, sometimes I do feel like I miss that like community aspect or like the support. It's like all of my support is literally online. That could become difficult. My boyfriend and I do live here, but yeah, he's not very entrepreneurial, I would say. He definitely is more like hardworking, like blue collar labor. So there's some things that like you can't always talk to your partner about. And I do miss my family for that aspect, just because yes, I can call them and stuff, but my parents are both entrepreneurs. So I feel like they've always had a lot of help and good advice for me when I'm going through stages where I feel like, oh, I should give up, or oh, I'm going through burnout or XYZ. It's like they're always the people to remind me, like, you started this when you were like 22 years old. There's literally no reason for you to stop now. So I think that can be hard, just the community aspect, being in a new city, not having maybe a ton of friends, but in some aspect, isolation can be the best for progress. So
yeah, definitely. You know, sometimes you just need to have that quiet time to really, you know, focus on yourself, understand like why you do what you do, and you know what you really want to do, the big dream. Sometimes we're so busy with the daily life, we forget about our purpose. It's so cool that you actually understand your purpose and you're driving towards that. But at the same time, as you mentioned, it can be lonely in that path, and especially lonely on the top as well. And the key is to actually build that community along as you go towards the top, you know, having your boyfriend with you, having calls with your family, and at the same time, you know, make more friends and things like that. So those things really will help to, you know, build that personal connection. Because at the end of the day, personal connection, human connection is what we are here about, you know, what being a human is.
yes, 1,000%. It took me a long time to know that too, because in high school, I can say I definitely was kind of like a hermit. I was a soccer player, so I feel like a lot of people knew me because I was like one of our star athletes. But beside that, I don't think anybody like actually knew who I was. Nobody like asked me to go hang out. Nobody, you know, none of that. So it was more so like, oh, Elliott, the soccer player. And then we like don't know what she does outside of that. And so I think I kind of allowed myself to get into a tunnel of thinking in high school, which was like, I don't need community. I don't need to be by people. I don't need to have friends. I don't need all of this. But actually, when I started reading the Bible, you know, one of the biggest things that God talks about is he made us for each other. He made us to support one another. He made us, with love being one of the key words in the Bible, and just showing compassion and love to people around you. Everybody needs that, whether it's romantic or platonic or, just a friend. It's like, yeah, everybody needs that human connection. And I realized that, I think, a little late in life, probably like 23 or 24. I mean, that might be still early for most, but I was like, oh my gosh, like I need to start making some friends. Like I do need people. I do need community. So I think that's a really big key takeaway, that I think if anybody feels like they need to be isolated 24/7 or they don't need friends, it's totally not true.
Yeah, 1000% to compassion and building and having friends to support you. So for someone that's starting out, what kind of advice would you give them to get to where you are today?
I would say specifically for starting out in the same space that I am, if that is like social media, content creation, growing a marketing business or anything like that, the new form of advertisement is organic posting. So I would say for that, if there's people that you feel like are judging you and that is stopping you from posting, block them, because it is literally not their business. It's your business. It's not their growth. It's your growth. And if you feel like you can't perform because of XYZ person, then you need to eliminate them from your brain and you need to eliminate them from your brand, because we as people only get one life. And it is our choice what we do with the ingredients, that life gives us. And so if you are not taking initiative to go forward with what you feel like your purpose is, you're just wasting time in the only life that we get. And I feel like that can be kind of harsh. It's just real. It's like you should go forward. You should move forward. You should take the steps now, even if that is, working on your 5 to 9 after your 9 to 5. It can be daunting. It can be tiring, but the reward is always so much more beneficial when you actually see that needle moving. And like I said in the beginning of this, is like, there's going to be effort that is still kind of coexisting with failure. And that's completely normal. And just to take that on the head and keep going and make small steps every single day, even if that's, writing down a whole bunch of to-do lists and kind of tackling those off once a month, whatever you need to do to move that needle forward with your time, with your habits, with your lifestyle, just start Xing off the boxes like tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So what are some of the key skills required to do a job well?
I think work ethic is like a really big one. I think that's in any job too. I think work ethic shines so vividly right now, just because I don't think a lot of people in my generation do have work ethic. I think, and that's coming from somebody who is a Gen Z person. I think, a lot of people don't want to work very hard, or they think that the bare minimum effort is going to get them this huge reward that they see on social media. They think it's going to get them the Louis Vuitton bags and the private jet planes and the luxury vacations. And it's like, that's not true. Like, you do have to be a part of the 1% to kind of start getting this like luxe life, if that is so what you want. I would just say, yeah, work ethic is like a huge skill. And then also I think communication and just critical thinking and being able to coexist with people in your community or in your space, in your job, and building a good space for people, being somebody that people can turn to, and just being a ray of light. My grandma always used to tell me, like, if you don't see Jesus in your workspace, invite him in and like let people know him, like be the person that brings light into the space. Like, you don't have to ask permission to open up light. And so I think that's like a big thing, is just like, if you feel negative in your workspace, like, don't confine to that. Be different. Step aside and just be someone different. And I think that's like a really big thing, especially in 9-to-5s and stuff like that. I see a lot of people having like negative workspaces. I'm lucky to be in the house with my dog, but I think if you can just be communicative and genuine and stuff like that, it really changes your workspace and changes your environment.
Yeah, definitely. When you actually have too many negativity around you, that kind of drags you down. And the thing is, when you're actually building something awesome, you want to have as much positive energy as possible. So that means, get into a community of people that's like-minded people, and actually bring that energy with you. And of course, being able to let go of, any other negative energy internally, especially actually internally. A lot of times, actually, internal negative energy that actually drags you down. So. And the negative automatic, so the negative talk, self-talk, yeah, so dangerous.
I think working when you don't want to. I've like the Harmozis always say like, F your feelings, follow the plan, which I think is like a really hard skill to do, especially as a woman who is, I think we can be a little bit more emotional. We can take things a little bit more seriously, especially like I notice in sales, for instance, like when I'm trying to sell my offer, there's been tons of men that have been like, and why should I trust you? Or why are you different than XYZ? Or you're a one-man show, just you. And they are, confused by the fact that I own a company or I'm marketing or I do all of these things and can promise all of these results. And it's just me, a girl. And it's like, sometimes you do have to step away from the emotions behind business and you just have to follow the plan and do what you know is correct and do what you know is going to move the needle. And that can be a really hard thing, but showing up when you don't want to show up is sometimes when you find your best day of work. It's like when you don't want to do anything, but you choose to do something. It's like that kind of starts the domino effect to go deep into deep work and do deep studies on the things that you need to, move in your business. I found myself doing like a whole YouTube study one day that I didn't want to start doing work that led me into believing, well, oh my gosh, I can run ads now. Like I know how to run ads because I just watched a whole bunch of this and that, and I did a test on this and that. And it's like sometimes the back end work and stuff like that, you can still move the needle with. Another hard skill I think would be, I don't know how I would say this, but maybe just so like biting your tongue can be a hard skill, at least for me. I always find that I always have something to say. I always have something to say. I always want to say what's on my mind. And I don't think that's always beneficial. You should learn when to be quiet and you should learn when to not talk. And to kind of not feel like you have to stick up for yourself in every experience and kind of just let people say what they're going to say. That can be a hard skill, but I think it's definitely needed in entrepreneurship.
Yeah, definitely. And one last question for you. So what's next? What's your dream?
My dream is definitely just to say like that I can silently and confidently support a family. I want that to definitely be my biggest goal in life, is that, my kids get to, I don't care if they're a trust fund baby. I think that would be amazing if my kids were trust fund babies. So definitely like putting aside money and investment for them, allowing them to have the ability to go to the school they want to go to or start a business off the ground when they get out of high school, whatever it is that they want to do. My parents were so open to me going to college or to not going to college. And I want to be the same type of advocate for my kids. And yeah, I just want to give them like a better life than I feel like I got financially. I want to be able for them to do all the activities that they want to do, whether that's snowboarding or dirt bike riding or competitive cheerleading, all things that are super expensive. But like, I want them to be able to have the room to exercise their hobbies and just, yeah, really live a life that I think we should as when we're really young, and have friends in our teams and all of that kind of stuff. And just also like have health insurance in case of accidents and just feel confident and comfortable in our lives and not have to worry about every paycheck that comes in. That's the goal.
Yeah, that's amazing. And at the same time, that's also something that I think everyone should deserve. So,
Yeah.
And that's really one of the reasons that why I do what I do is to enable everyone to be able to operate at the highest level in order to realize dreams like that. So, awesome. Thank you for coming to the show and sharing your journey to inspire others.
Thank you so much for having me, Max. This was great.
For listening, and hope that inspired you to reach the top. To get some help, check out our free services at humanprosperity.io.